Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday to you. This is our second episode of Let's Discuss Cybersecurity, the December 20th edition. Looking forward to interacting with you guys today as we dive into the world of cybersecurity. So, a little bit about myself before we get going. I am Fleetus Poston. I currently serve as a security operations manager for a backup and recovery company. I also consult with students and am an avid learner and mentor. Some of those topics we will be covering as we go through this stream today. So I look forward to sharing my journey with you, and let's get started. So, first off, my journey. How did I get to where I'm at today? Um, while completing my undergrad, I had the opportunity to be introduced to many different organizations who were willing to come and speak to us as students. So that started my journey. So I did my first IT job as an IT auditor for a local financial institution here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And then when I went back, I dabbled in security as an IDS handler. So an IDS is your intrusion detection system handler. After graduating, I joined a local utility as an IT service management business analyst. What that means is I was leading their problem, change, incident, and asset organizations and running the weekly CAB change advisory board. After that, I rotated into a web app monitoring where I got exposure to web applications and setting up service level agreements, metrics, response. And at that point, I dabbled into vendor management as I was asked to onboard a new capacity planning tool for a legacy Unix environment. After leaving the web app monitoring team, I got into another business analyst role for a short time on the electronic document management team at that utility, doing VA work on the front end, building their UIs out and for data input. Quickly shifted my role to doing data transformation to migrate data from the legacy system to their new system, and then joined their backend team as their systems administrator. While being the systems administrator, I picked up the identity and access piece of this corporate environment, as well as the nuclear environment application, managing their AD groups, Active Directory, their service accounts, process accounts, and group memberships. While with that team, I got the itch to go back to school. So I went back and got my master's in cybersecurity / information assurance. At that point, I started my networking internally to the utility and looking for an opportunity to move into a new role. I got a mentorship with the current director of the Security Operations Center, who at the time didn't have any openings, but I met with them, had lunch, and stayed in contact. As I was about halfway through my master's, the opportunity arose to join the team. So I joined the security team as a security systems engineer, supporting the Security Operations Center. Before I left that organization, I was the team lead of about 15 different engineers supporting anything from endpoint to cloud. So we had the endpoint protection platforms, the SOAR, your security orchestration, automation, and response, the SIEM, cloud applications, email security, and network security. Once I left, I joined my current role at the backup and recovery as their security operations manager. I've been in this role just over 2.5 years. And in that time, I've built out the security for this organization as we were a carve out from an existing company. So I had the luxury of building and bringing in tools, helping implement policies and procedures, and working through the governance of having a mature product, but yet standing up a new organization. Through all this, I had strong mentors that I could lean on to give me advice, guidance, expertise when I was stuck. Because we all know at some point you're going to be in a room that you don't have the answer to. But because of my background in IT, doing governance, application work, and eventually moving into security, I have a well-rounded background of understanding where to start. When I get into a meeting, I understand what their pain points are. If and when an event is declared, I know their process, their procedures. I know their train of thought because I've sat in their shoes. I've walked in their shoes. It's important to be able to get that perspective of the individuals you're working with, both inside your IT teams, your lines of businesses, your finance, your marketing, your sales, as well as this other sister security teams. because at some point you're going to need to trade knowledge. That's where your soft skills come into play. You have to be comfortable communicating and being an active listener, both written and verbally, both with your management, your stakeholders, as well as the other lines of businesses. You have to be able to listen and follow directions. No one wants to be the person who's constantly being told how to do something over and over again. You need to be consistent with your communication to other team members to make sure that the tasks that you're working on, the risk that you've raised, are properly communicated, addressed, and handled. You can transfer problem-solving skills from any role. For example, a car mechanic has transitioned into the field as a SOAR engineer. He was able to use the analytical mindset of troubleshooting the engines on the cars to be able to troubleshoot the SOAR platform that he was writing rules for to make content and detections. Next, humility. It goes a long way. You have to make sure that you're able to say that you're wrong. You're able to ask for help. You're able to admit when you don't know something. Again, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you're likely in the wrong room. Bring a sense of humor. As you can see, I have a dad joke at the bottom of this slides for those who've interacted with me. Why shouldn't you write with a broken pencil? Because it's pointless. So if you're not able to have clear communications, have humility, be able to laugh and joke, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're either difficult to work with or you're just not trusted by your colleagues, by your peers, and by others in the organization. Being able to be a self-starter, have independence, goes a long way in our field as well. There's going to be times when you're a team of one. You're going to be asked to run many different projects, wear many different hats. Can you and are you able to take the self-start, the self-pace, the independence mindset and apply it to the task that you're given? Are you able to go find solutions to problems instead of just identifying them? And if so, going back to the communication piece, are you able to document those in a clear and concise manner? All of these are soft skills. I've yet to talk about anything technical here. I'm not asking you to configure a firewall. I'm not asking you to deploy an EC2 in AWS. I'm asking you to be able to communicate, share your problem-solving skills, have humility, be able to laugh and joke, and be able to be a self-starter and independent. So how do we do this? How do we continuously learn? It's by starting with a routine. Get up early. Take a few minutes in the morning to learn something new. Blog, journal. It'll help you retain your knowledge. Teaching others is one way to make sure that you have been able to master a subject. All of us at some point in our career will get into an elevator or be in a meeting where an executive asks you who you are and what you do for the organization. So be able to clearly and concisely describe the value add you have to the organization. The CEO is not going to want to know that you're the blocking and tackling person. They're going to want to know that you're adding value by protecting the organization, reducing risk, and communicating the risk in an effective manner that can be addressed. Dedicate time to studying, as I said, when you wake up early or at your lunch break or after your kids go to bed at night. Spend 10 to 15 minutes learning something new. Review trusted articles each and every day. Join podcasts in the mornings, in the evenings. Find trusted news sources that are objective. Take time to write about what you're learning. Blog it again. Share it internally. Find both technical and non-technical resources to sharpen your mind. You can't always be in the fight mode of cybersecurity. Sometimes it's good to have a hobby to refresh your mind. If that's fly fishing, disc golf, bike riding, mountain climbing, I just listed several physical activities. It may not be something physical. It may be something that you do with your hands, woodworking, sewing, stitching, any opportunity to sharpen your mind and your motor skills. Subscribe to channels such as this and others on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever media of choice you want to subscribe to so you continuously learn. Most importantly, step away from the keyboard and do a non-technical hobby. Get up from your desk, walk around your house, or go outside and get fresh air. There are many times while making a lap around the block that I've been able to clear my head and solve a problem that I've been banging my head on the keyboard all day long on. Or while doing one of those activities of playing disc golf, golfing, hiking, that I've refreshed myself so that when I do come back on Monday morning, that I'm sharp and able to address all the debacles that I ran into, the roadblocks I've been in, and I've learned how to get out of ditches by doing non-technical hobbies. Some of your hobbies may be technical. There are always capture the flag events going on. Those are ways to sharpen your skills. That's that 10 to 15 minutes of learning something new every day. Are you willing to be a continuous learner? That's important in the field that we work in so that we can drive the industry as a whole. So be willing and able to do that through mentorship. Everyone needs a mentor and a mentee. No matter if you've been in the field one day or 20 years, you have something to share with others. You bring your previous experience and diversity to each and every role that you do. As you can see here from some statistics I pulled, 84% of our Fortune 500 companies have a mentorship program. 100% of the Fortune 50 do. Of those, 97% of the people polled say they find it valuable. Yet, only 37% of professionals currently have a mentor. Let that sink in again. Just over a third of the professionals have a mentor. 89% of those who have been mentored go on to also mentor others. Reverse mentorship is important. Having fresh minds come in, if that's the school teacher who's transitioned into a GRC role who can give you lessons learned from the classroom, if that's the mechanic I mentioned earlier who's able to help you think outside the box when he's building content or she's building content detection engineering rules, it's imperative that we do both be a mentor and be a mentee because you're going to continuously learn through those partnerships. You and your mentor will learn and grow together. Don't be afraid to ask someone to mentor you today and be willing to be a mentor yourself. I recently posted an article on LinkedIn around this. I'll be glad to share that with those who want to know it. And we'll go through it. Passive mentorship is fine, but you need to structure it. There needs to be goals and objectives to when you go through that. So with that, I'll share that article with you real quick. It's the power of mentorship, sharing your experiences and fostering growth. If you go out to my LinkedIn page now, look for the articles I post. I fairly regularly post things. You'll see my thoughts around sharing your experiences and fostering that growth. Because without knowledge sharing, without passions, without a direction to share, burnout will happen. And it can be relieved by having a trusted circle around you who cares and helps you through all the different types of issues, opportunities that we see day in and day out in this field. So with that, I'd like to share that we are in this together. We will learn and grow as we go through this. As we go through life, there's going to be opportunities where the non-technical side of this field is going to get you. It's going to be important that you're aware of that and able to address that. So let me scroll through the chat here real quick. feel free to repost something if I missed it. But I would love for each of you to find a mentor this holiday season and be able to go through that. As you go into 2025, you have objectives and goals that you set yourself to accomplish in the first quarter, in the first half, and eventually you can look back at those. I've mentioned journal, blog, make sure that you're looking at opportunities to give back. Amish, you just assume no one wants to be your mentor. That's not true. There's always someone. So I'll give another analogy. This is another thing that I found important. You just reminded me of this. You should have 3 different mentors in your life. You should have one before you. So that's the person who's already walked. That's the senior person who's been in the role several years or nearing retirement. You should have a mentor or a mentee who's also a peer of yours. There's opportunities to do knowledge share between the two of you. Additionally, you should have the next generation. Your job is to pass the torch. You want to make sure that the next generation has an opportunity to learn from your strengths as well as your weaknesses. Fleetish, you just said my weaknesses. Yes, my weaknesses. We don't need to repeat history, but we will without someone coming but long beside us and either walking in front of us to show us the way or standing beside us to help us get through it when we get knocked down, while having someone who's following in our footsteps to see how we respond to it. Emotions get in the way of this. Imposter syndrome is something that we deal with day in and day out. But on the flip side, with imposter syndrome means that you have a desire to learn. It means you have the opportunity to polish, to refine yourself in a way that's going to make you a better husband, father, mother, child, best friend, partner. All of the opportunities that we face start at home. For those who've interacted with me in other sessions and seen me in other talks, the human-centric side of our field needs more attention. It starts with us when we wake up. We decide what the day is going to be like from the time that we wake up and let our feet hit the floor. We have the opportunity when we lay our head down at night on that pillow to reflect on what did we do effectively today with the soft skills I've mentioned, and how are we transitioning those soft skills into professional skills. Professional development is just as important as technical acumen in this field. So with that, I want to close out 2024 with say, press on, learn, grow, find opportunities as we go into 2025 to subscribe to communities, both virtually and physically. Find a local meetup to get plugged into. Networking goes a long way. I tell my mentors and my mentees, it's not always about who you know, it's when you know them. So if you're actively transitioning from IT to security, find those organizations. Find those people who can come alongside you. If you're graduating from undergrad, find someone who can introduce you to people and let them passively mentor you, directly mentor you, or at least to share their knowledge. LinkedIn is a powerful tool for this. Look for what people are posting. Pay attention to the articles that they're talking about. Pay attention to the threats that we're dealing with in and day out. As I alluded to continuous learning, find trusted sources that you're getting your daily news from, so that when you're asked a question, you can say, I know something about that. I've had that opportunity to learn about that threat actor, that ransomware event, that data breach, that supply chain attack. But again, not all of cyber is technical. To my friends in GRC, we need you to do our job. Without governance, risk, and compliance, we can't operate from the security operations side or the security engineering side, because there's nothing for us to say you're out of policy that we're alerting on, that we're tackling, or that we're trying to complete. So with that, again, challenge each and every single one of you, implore you to ask questions, be humble, And with that, I will close out. If you like this, please take a moment to like and subscribe. I posted a short earlier today just on incidental or accidental insider. Take a look at that. If you've got topics you'd love to hear more about, reach out to me. Several of you are in similar communities. Happy to talk about those topics in our Discord channels, our Slack channels, inside of DMs, either at X, Blue Sky, and or LinkedIn. But happy holidays and happy New Year to each and every one of you. Have a great day, and I will see you guys in 2025.